Just 3 days remain here on AMX Global for Beta Season 2. We're getting to the final push. Home straight, as they would say in the United States, Brad. And welcome along to AMX Global for 2 exciting races. We've got rear-wheel drive and front-wheel drive. But, Brad, it's been a minute since we've seen you, buddy. You've been a busy man. How's things?
Yeah, things are good, Alex. I've been in the background keeping up with things here at AMX. Of course, I've been, just kind of hanging out, doing different things. I've done some different things that are in the corner you can't see, some upgrades, so you might see me on the track next season. But, definitely been a good time. I'm glad to be back here, just a couple races left. Alex, it feels like old times like always.
It does indeed. Of course, we're in the final phase. It's race 37. We switched things up once again. We have changed the tier structure. We've increased the payouts. And with AMX 0, we're going to get to the track and the circuit very, very shortly. And you know what? Rear-wheel drive, spec cars, that's one of the things I love. We're going to get to Marco's favourite a little bit later on for what we're going to have for AMX 5. But in terms of the prizes, the prize funds that we're giving out, things have been changed dramatically. Now, AMX 0 is our entry-level tier. We've nearly tripled the total prize payout to $142 US. Now, we have got this in 2 more days, Beta Season 2 remaining. AMX 0 takes place on US Eastern Daily Time at 7:40 PM, 8:40 PM for AMX 5. Of course, we like to elongate our zeros here, or O's here on these particular slides. Don't forget, if you want to get involved with the action the next couple of race days, it's amxrace.com. So AMX 0, we'll get on to AMX 5 a little bit later on tonight. And some wonderful new graphical transfers, reverse grid placements, qualifying, there are prize money up for grabs. We're going to switch things up, so if you qualify and pole, you're going to be at the back of the grid for the start of the race. But you could do a last to first or last to win here on AMX Global. It's $10 US for securing pole position, $10 for picking up the victory, and the fastest lap of the race during the race only is going to be $2 US. And if you're all the way down to 20th position, you are still going to pick up prize money. So it's a win-win for everybody. For you people racing, and for us also watching the action, not just myself and Brad, but those people watching on YouTube and Twitch right now. So, faster, easier payouts have been introduced as well. Players may request at any time to be paid out in increments of $100 US. This is between all tiers without waiting until the end of the season. So there is an example down there. Any unclaimed winnings will roll over to the next season, so you will never lose your prize money. Good to see the chat is very, very much alive and kicking here on AMX Global. We've also, we do have that's one of the things we need to get onto now. It's the driver cams. So AMX 0, we've already populated the AMX Zoom, the AMX Discord as well. So if any driver joins the Zoom call with the camera showing your face and a race setup, receive 1 point. That means 1 extra US. For AMX 5, it is a mandatory requirement. You see with Marcelo Reales, it's a constant thing that we always see his monitor. But you know what? I'm going to hand over to Brad, take us through the track and the car that we're going to be using for this particular race, race 37 for AMX 0. Over to you, Brad.
Oh, Alex, I am so glad to be back, and I'm glad to come back on a great car track combo that's just going to be classic motorsport. Oulton Park, 4.29 kilometers in Little Budworth in the UK. That's around your neck of the woods. English, of course.
Not quite.
Running the international layout here.
Yeah. Well, Oulton Park from my location is a 10-hour round trip by car. So they're northwest, I'm southeast of the United Kingdom. So there you go. But I'm closer than a lot of people are from the crew anyway. But yeah, it's a great circuit. And the car, I'm really looking forward to it tonight. You and I have seen action on this one. what have we got for the drivers tonight?
Nothing other than a $30,000 beautiful piece of machine that has some of the best racing I think I've ever watched in real life, and that's saying something considering I watched Le Mans this year. The MX-5 Cup car designed for all sorts of speed and action. This is the classic iRacing rookie car. This is the I'm going to jump in, have no clue what I'm doing. I just bought a wheel and I want to make everyone on the internet as mad as possible. So I'm going to get a Mazda Miata, Mazda MX-5, and I'm going to throw it in a quarter and dive bomb someone. This is the car that iRacing built an entire platform off of. This is a lot of fun, small, little bit of action. And again, you can pick one of these up. I say this every time I broadcast an MX-5 Cup race. $30,000 you can have one of these cars and feel like you're racing. I've thrown one of these around back roads. I've taken one on a track. It's a lot of fun, and I can't wait to see how the drivers perform here at Oulton Park in an MX-5.
Yep, Oulton Park, a stalwart of British motorsport. Originally organised by the Cheshire Car Club to use this circuit. We have got, for the first time since I've been on the last few times, we have got a double-digit grid. Here are the total earning standings, and courtesy of our last race day, well, Kaya Gaspar has just gone and broken the $1,600 barrier. He did that a couple of days ago, 2 days ago, funny enough, when we were at VIR with the Cadillac CTSB. He took pole position for that race and got himself up to the $1,600 mark. A couple of drivers aren't too far away from that barrier either. Gaston Colharvey, Fabio Zampolini, Jackson Asenge, Gael Valero, Corentin Guignez, and Diego Villarreal have all broken into four figures. Victor Miranda, who we've not seen, makes a return tonight here on AMX Global. And what's more, they are now getting underway with the 15-minute qualifying session around this 4.29 kilometre circuit. A lot of twists and turns, a lot of undulation changes, uphill climbs. There we see the number 27, that is Gaston Colharvey, running in the student driver livery, but Victor Miranda was the quickest in the free practice session with a 1 minute 51.720. Gaston Colharvey 33 thousandths behind, followed by Jackson Asenge, Kaya Gaspar, Fabio Zampolini rounding out the top five, covered by just over 0.4 of a second. Marcelo Reales, Josh Perween makes a return. Good to see the Black Arts Racing driver return from Australasia. Nico Godoy, Diego Villarreal and Laui Santi round out the 10-strong grid. We're already nearly 2 minutes into our 15-minute qualification session. 6 sectors through the iRacing server will populate the Oulton Park International Circuit. We ride on board with the number 27 of Gaston Colharvey as he comes over the start-finish line. We'll stay on board with him for a full lap, as now he's going to head into turn 1 here at Old Hall. Third gear, 80 miles an hour, down the avenue, running a little bit wide. Now down the dip through into Denton's before the sweeping left-hander. Quite deceptive here at Cascades. Third gear again, 80 miles an hour. Now up through Lakeside. Very, very tight part of the circuit. You could probably get 2 wide, you get 3 wide. Someone's going to have 2 wheels on the grass. Into Island Bend. Now this is going to be the hardest braking point on the circuit coming up to Shell Oil's corner. Down the gearbox, you're probably going to be pretty much into second gear, 100 kilometers an hour. Now up through this sweeping right-hander into Britain's, which is a left-right chicane. You've got to watch out for the tyre barriers. And then over the crest, over to Hilltop, then down the hill and into Hislops. It's another chicane coming up. So enter into the corner. Well, straight away, Gaston Colharvey goes straight on. But then you've got Hislops, which is the right that he should have negotiated. Then you've got Knickerbrook, so he's going to use the cut-off area. And now we've got one of the other drivers. This is actually coming through Clay Hill and Water Tower. This is Jackson Asenge. Up towards the penultimate right-hander, which is Druid's Corner. So he's just gone through Water Tower, into the right, struggling with the back end of the car. These are not easy to get used to, but it's a good car to learn. Underneath the bridge, into Lodge Corner, which will be the next right-hander. And then there's a slight crest that they come over, down into Dearly. And that is a lap of Oulton Park here in Little Budworth in Cheshire. Not too far outside of Chester City Centre, as Jackson Desenje puts in the first lap time of a 1:54.683. But Fabio Zampolini straight away, 1 minute 52.825. We're about coming up to a third of the way through the qualifying session, which for the final phase of Beta Season 2 has been elongated to 15 minutes. Josh Perween goes second. Good shout there by Diego Villarreal in the number 22. The Uruguayan goes P3. Nico Godoy, with one of the best AMX Global racing driver beards that we've seen so far on the Zoom cams, goes P5 on a 1:55.264. But still, to have a double-digit grid here on this particular one, here, Brad, it's really good to see that we're going to have an ultra-competitive 10-lap race around this circuit.
Yeah, time's looking very, very competitive early on. Of course, fabulous Fabio Zampolini, 1:52.8. I still think he's a little slow for what I'm expecting pole position times to be. I still think we can find another tenth or so as Lowy Santi puts in a 1:55.8. And I would think there's a little bit more time to find. I do think one of my favorite things to look at is the licenses for all the drivers. Of course, Nico Godoy is a C-Class driver with a 1.4K I rating. However, you can see him right there, right in the midfield, only about half a second back on Jackson Resende. And then you can see, of course, Fabio Zampolini up there, Josh Perween up there. And so I still expect Kulhavi to go through. Marcelo Reales has a good bit of pace. I know Victor Miranda we see coming through. He's had a scruffy back half of the lap, which is unusual for him. Jackson Resende is coming through, though, and we can see the number 4 put in a purple through, and there it is, 1:52.0, pulls it out by 2.5 tenths. So plenty of time to be found through here, Alex, and I think the perk of this elongated qualifying, we're only a third of the way through now. Typically, this would be our halfway point. I think all of these drivers have a bit more to find in the pace.
Yeah, Victor Miranda, one of the drivers to watch. He's currently on $904 total earnings here on Beta Season 2. As we see the number 327 adorned with the national flag of Brazil, the one and only fabulous Fabio Zampolini. Very much one of the bigger competitors, along with the likes of Caio Gaspar, Jackson Desenje, Victor Miranda, and Lowy Santi, who all compete in national Brazilian esports competitions. As Zampolini makes his way through Britons, up the hill, over through Hilltop. Just ahead, that is Jackson Desenje, who's currently second at the moment, 0.185. Behind the number 12, so it's a Brazilian 1-2 at the moment. And he's wearing his Borussia Dortmund t-shirt again. That'll that will probably put the fear of God into our good friend Marco, who quite recently, a couple of days ago, had his last appearance on Beta Season 2. A big thank you to Marco for his help this season. So 7.5 minutes in to this qualifying session, so we are at half time. Top 4 at the moment covered by just over 4 tenths. It's 2-litre 4-cylinder engines, really showcasing their noise, but also how quick these cars can be. These are spec vehicles, but they've got to be very careful coming through Dearly, because coming through very tight right-hander, as Gaston Kulhavi gets to within 13 thousandths of Caio Gaspar. So that just goes to show how hard they are pushing. Josh Perween sets the personal best in the opening sector of a 14.06. Diego Villarreal, I think, is just gearing up for another push lap. He's currently 5th place at the moment, 1.28 seconds. There's the number 12 car, the Shell V-Power livery. Very much the same livery that Augusto Farfus actually ran in with BMW Motorsport in the DTM through the second variation, the Class 1 regs, which were then rescinded, and then instead GT3 cars came to go. There is Caio Gaspar in the bottom left-hand corner of your screens. See How the number 12 from Brazil gets on. He's just come through Cascades, runs the car a little bit wide, through into Lakeside, then pulls the left, aborts the lap, and he's going to return to garage as we have just 6 minutes on the timer to go. Still very, very much up for grabs, this pole position, even though it won't work out to pole position for the race itself, Brad. But the top 6 rounded out by Josh Irwin in the number 10, covered by just over 1.3 seconds. And there is Victor Miranda, one of the drivers running with Tony Kanan's esports team. Tony Kanan now concentrating on the Stock Car Pro Series full-time after his last appearance with McLaren at the Indianapolis 500 in the month of May. Let's see, Victor Miranda has an opportunity to put in a lap time. He's just coming through into Clay Hill, over through into Water Tower before the right-hander coming up at Druids. So you could see what the Brazilian has in his pocket here, Brad. He's going to get a little bit of tail happy wagging from the back of the MX-5 coming out of Lodge Corner and into, well, out of Druids. This could be a very, very clean lap. He's just put personal bests in the last couple of sectors.
Yeah, I'm keeping my eyes on the timing screen here because Victor Miranda is doing fairly decent here. I don't think it's going to be good enough for pole position here with 5 minutes to go. And you can see on his face, he doesn't look super happy about it. But still a good time. It gets a time on the board there, which is going to be very...
No, it doesn't.
Oh!
That was invalidated. He's on his 5th lap here in qualifying, and it's been invalidated. So he's got 4.5 minutes to get the car really, really flying around these corners. Now with the 738 of Marcelo Reales running in the Mad Mike style livery on the Mazda MX-5. Mad Mike Whitted, if you don't know of him, he's an Australasian drifter who's had the craziest of drift cars. Even at one point did a full drift conversion on a Lamborghini of all cars, and that was something weird and also awesome at the same time. But yeah, Marcelo Reales currently 7th at the moment, and with 1.7 seconds covering the top 7. Godoy and Santi, they'll be starting towards the front end of the grid. Victor Miranda is about 55% of the way through the lap. He's done some personal bests in sectors 1 and 2. However, just hoping that he's going to put a lap time on the board, but you know, he's still putting laps around there, so he's getting used to the track as well here, Brad.
Yeah, being knowledgeable of the track is one thing. As we see Lally Santi here, and you can see just muscling that car through. I love these zoom cams and the unique perspective you get on how drivers are set up. Everyone has a slightly different seating position, slightly different style, but the one thing that they all have in common, Alex, just watch. He's forcing that car through, and he's leaning in. He's really wanting that car to come around the corner. Victor Miranda is in a weird position right now, because even though he's in last place, he's technically going to start in pole.
Oh, he's just had another lap disallowed. No, he hasn't. That's put him up to P4.
Oh.
1 minute 52.103. Finally, Miranda gets a lap time on the board. Puts him P4, just 4 100ths behind, well, 35 thousandths behind Jackson Ascenje, who's in pit lane. So can Miranda go any quicker around this circuit? He's improved in the first couple of sectors. He's going up the hill at the moment, which leads me to believe he's making his way over Hilltop. He's going down, well, he's going through Cascades. My apologies there. Through Cascades, down Lakeside. That will be more than likely. That's Shallow Oils Corner, so he's through Island Bend. Now he's going to go up the hill. Let's keep on board with Victor Miranda at the moment, because you're going to see how close these tyre barriers are. Goes through the left, now into the... Literally an inch and a bit away from the right-hand tyre barrier on the exit of Britain's. That's how close he is, and all these drivers are. There is the steely-eyed concentration of Victor Miranda. Now through into his lops. He's going to make it through the right-hander here at Knickerbrook. So using the back end to sort of help carry that momentum through. You've got to really... These cars are all about momentum here, the Mazda MX-5s. So what you will see is he's just making his way into Druids Corner, just keeping an eye on his lap time, well, his sector times at the moment. He's improved in sectors 2 and 3. He's going to make his way down through in towards, I think, will be Lodge corner very shortly. Into the right-hander he goes, over the crest. Don't run the car out too wide through Dearly. Now he's going to go across the line. Victor Miranda currently P4, with just over a minute remaining in qualifying. Is there an improvement? Yes, there is. He goes P3, 1 minute 52.015. And after 4 laps of not registering a lap time, one straight after the other, Victor Miranda improves and goes to P3.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is what we call skill. Gaston Kulhavi, the student driver of the session, if you would believe that, with that P2 currently sitting 1,000th of a second back from 100th of a second back from Kyle Gaspar. Man, Alex, I go away for a week and a half and I'm so out of practice. Anyways, Kyle Gaspar, very, very good times through. As we're going with about 15 seconds to go here in the session, you can see Gaston Kulhavi pulling it over, calling it there. He's very happy with where he's at. Kyle Gaspar finding every inch of the track that he can. He's got the 151.883. Very, very good time there. Nico Godoy is still out on track. The checkered flag will officially drop on the session. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be how we set up our grid. Well, flip it around. And then that's how we set up our grid.
Yeah, we're going to turn it around like a sand timer, folks, because Kyle Gaspar will qualify on pole. That's $10 in the Brazilian's back pocket. 1 minute 51.883. Gaston Kulhavi will join him on the inside of row number 5. He finished second in his qualifying session. Victor Miranda and Jackson Resenge, third and fourth respectively. Fabio Zampolini and Josh Perween, 5th and 6th. Marcelo Reales, Diego Villarreal, Nico Godoy and Laui Santi. That's your 10-strong grid. So flip it around. Laui Santi starts on pole position. Nico Godoy, Diego Villarreal, Marcelo Reales, Josh Perween, Fabio Zampolini, Jackson Resenge, Victor Miranda, Gaston Kulhavi, and Kyle Gaspar. Will the number 12 from KTF BRB Esports do a top gear from the rear, as we say in the United Kingdom, through a branch of certain commentators, myself included, because we are waiting for Josh Perween to ready up along with Kyle Gaspar. It is a standing start. Nearly 43 kilometers will take place over these 10 laps. We are still waiting for Josh Perween to hopefully join the server very, very shortly, as he's starting on the inside of row number 3. Sounds like we are still waiting for Josh at the moment. There he is. Okay, the revs will now start to build here at Oulton Park in Cheshire for this race of AMX 0. It's 10 laps. Revs rise, green flag, and a good getaway from Laui Santi on the front row of the grid. Nico Godoy slots in behind. Diego Villarreal and quite a few others with a lot of wheel spin into Old Hall for the first time. A little bit of a swing wide there, but and Godoy's round, and so are a couple of the others. And we've got Diego Villarreal with a front bumper missing on the car, new damage model on iRacing. But Josh Perween involved. Gaston Kulhavi is currently in P7. You see the 7-3, there you see behind Jackson Resenge in 4th place as they're making their way up through Lakeside into the sweeping left here at Island Bend before going hard on the brakes down from around 4th, 5th gear down to 2nd into Shell Oil's corner. Tight, adverse camber on the right-hand side. Laui Santi has got a lead of just over 3.5 tenths of a second ahead of Victor Miranda as they're going through Britain's. You're going to see how well, all I'm going to say there is Victor Miranda is really closing in on Laui Santi for the race lead. Marcelo Reales rounding out the top 5 as they go through into Hislops. Now into the right-hander here at Knickerbrook. So it's a right chicane. Now up through Clay Hill, underneath the Advan Bridge over at Water Tower. They are climbing at a big rate of knots. And Miranda is going to go for the race lead into Druids. He's going to send it up the inside and sends it through past Laui Santi. Kyle Gaspar waiting in the wings. And, oh dearie me, Fabio Zampolini is showing us out of the pit lane. Diego Villarreal has just got in. Josh Perween and Gaston Coulharvey have been in there for just over a minute, so a little bit of carnage on that opening lap there, Brad, as this battle for the top 5 is really heating up.
Reverse grids are the best thing that AMX has come up with. Look at this action right here. Santi Gaspar Resende, as you see now, Gaspar going around the outside, just forcing the 138 there of Santi out of the way. He's going to run over into the grass there, into the kitty litter a bit. The gravel, he's through, and now look at this battle. Gaspar Resende. This is going to be a good battle through, and look at that. Gaspar already up 7 places, and now he drops back here as they run through, and they are holding on to everything they can. The Shell Oil livery through Shell Oil Corner. And Alex, I know we're going to get a replay eventually of that first lap action.
Yes.
Took out almost half the field. That was I don't know what happened, but it took out half the field. And man, I just need to see what happened before I could say anything else, before I can try to give any sort of feedback, because it was just, I looked back and all of a sudden 5 MX-5s were backwards.
Yeah, well, I think Nico Godoy, who's on the outside of the front row, well, he spun on his own, and then it just caused absolute pandemonium behind him. I know for a fact that we will, our broadcast team over in Korea will give us a replay in due course. But as you can see there, there is Jackson Asenje, one of Tony Kanan's eSport drivers, trying to catch up with Victor Miranda. Now, when you think about it, this is a case of you got 3 very, very accomplished Brazilian eSports drivers. They are in close competition on a multitude of national eSports competitions. Yeah, I mean, effectively what happened is that Godoy spun, and having a look back, Villarreal has finally got out of the pit lane, so is Josh Perween, so is Gaston Coulharvey. Oh, that was very, very wide coming out of Old Hall there by Jackson Asenje, and it just caused pandemonium. I mean, it looked like Coulharvey and Perween just came together. Villarreal must have hit the barriers on the outside of the circuit. Now Asenje, I think, might have just had a slow down penalty, because Gaspar went straight past him with the greatest of ease. So the number 2 from the Tony Kanan eSports crew. So we're now going to see a replay of what happened literally just seconds after we went green. So this is on the run to Old Hall. You just see that Nico Godoy just goes onto the grass, back end spins out. Oh, and Josh Perween's had a little bit of a touch with Diego Villarreal, who's going to spear to the barrier on the left-hand side. Jackson Asenje trying to keep out of the way. Fabio Zampellini and Josh Perween have lost it, and they're both into the barriers on the right-hand side on the run down the avenue. Jackson Asenje was so lucky, but Diego Villarreal was not that lucky at all. And due to the new damage model, has lost the front bumper and the hood on that car, and there is Gaston Coulharvey. So half the field, as you rightly put there, Brad, were here, there and everywhere coming out of Old Hall at turn 1.
Yeah, Alex, the new damage model is a blessing and a curse. The blessing in the way that it makes these MX-5s a lot more realistic in their handling and how they react to things and how it feels to wreck them. It's a curse in the fact that these MX-5s are not as strong as you would think they are. They are, of course, production cars. At their core, they have a lot of, overhauls, remodels, and different things done to them to make them racing cars. But one little tap with the barrier and these MX-5s are done for. And as you can see when you look at this bottom half of the grid, I mean, you've got 39 seconds between Laui Santi and Nico Godoy. And then from there, every other driver had to pit and box through. At the moment, Victor Miranda having a wonderful, wonderful evening here with AMX. He's managed to push his way 7 places up to the front. Kyle Gaspar had to slow down a little bit there and is 0.8 of a second back, losing a little bit of time through Shell Oil Corner and trying to catch up. And we'll see how that goes for Kyle Gaspar. But these two having a fairly good race. They managed to stay lucky, stay out of that carnage there. As you rightly put it, Alex, I think the big loser in all of that was Diego Villarreal. I think he would have gotten through with no issues, but he had that right rear corner contact that just sent him into a barrier with no option.
Yeah, I think as a result of that, Josh Perween found himself going exit stage right, and yeah, it just goes to show that once one thing happens, it kickstarts a chain reaction. As our top three make that our top four, with Marcelo Reales, who actually started in fourth, is remaining in fourth. Biggest mover up the order, Kaya Gaspar in second position. Started at the back end of the grid, having taken pole earlier on tonight. And Resenje is now starting to close that gap back in. See the sector times between Resenje and Reales. And in a couple of them, Resenje has been quicker. His last lap was a 1 minute 52.3. Gaspar's was a 1 minute 51.65 and set the fastest lap of the race. Now it's becoming 1.5 seconds between the top three as we go on to lap 5 out of 10, which marks the halfway point of this 10-lap encounter around this 4.29 kilometre circuit. I've been to it in person, and I've seen mini challenge, single seaters, the old Dallara F312s that are still used to this day here on the iRacing server. Get this wonderful onboard shot going through Island Bend, and then hard on the brakes, turn it right into Shell Oil's corner. Lovely helicam shot there. As you can just see how close those drivers are getting to the inside curb, the right front wheel. There is Jackson Resenje in the bottom left-hand corner of your screens. The Brazilian hard at work trying to close in on Jackson Resenje as they go up the hill through the chicane at Britons. Now up through Hilltop, over the crest, and down the dip. As I said, a lot of undulation changes at this track. And you've got to have a car that's going to be handling on points. Gap now between Miranda and Gaspar closing to about 9.5 tenths of a second. Same between Gaspar and Resenje as they come out of Knickerbrook, up through Clay Hill, through into Water Tower. I think over the course of the next couple of laps we could see these gaps shrink a little bit more here, Brad, as we head towards the checkered.
Yeah, halfway point here, watching the sector times, we got a glimpse of it here, and thank you, broadcast team. Look at this. Gaspar continually gaining just hundredths of a second, but hundredths of a second matter against Victor Miranda here. I think the last couple of laps, if Victor Miranda hasn't kept anything in the tank and he's thrown it all the way early to try to hold on to that lead, Gaspar is going to slowly reel him in. But then look behind him, Brazilian right behind him, Jackson Resende right there trying to catch up as well. And just because this is three Brazilians that are running 1, 2, 3, and they're countrymen, does not mean that they're going to be friends when there's money on the line. I don't think any of these drivers are going to cut the other a break. And it's going to be, as we watch the live sector timings, look at that. Jackson Resende gaining a 10th in Sector 1 alone here around Oulton Park. And it is going to just continue to dwindle down. Gap now half a second between each car. It was almost 9 tenths of a second the lap before when they came through. Alex, as this dwindles down here, 4 laps to go, I don't know that Victor Miranda has it in the tank for 4 laps. I don't think Victor Miranda has enough left to give for the next 4 laps, unless he's kept something back that surprised me here.
Yeah, that's the thing. He needs to be very, very smooth and consistent with his inputs on the steering wheel, the brake and the throttle modulation around this very, very fast-flowing and technical challenge with, as I said, a lot of undulations. It's hard on the brakes. You've got to be so careful with Britons and his lots because you've got tyre barriers. You clip one of them, you are going to rip the front end off that car, and that is your race done and dusted. That'll be a return to garage straight away. And now the gap is less than a second between the top three. 0.9 is the differential as they go through into the next right-hander. Going to be heading through. They've just come out of Druids. They're heading towards Lodge Corner. Now the gap is even closing still. 3/4 of a second separate Victor Miranda, Kaya Gaspar, Jackson Resenje. This is a battle we wanted to see, and it's so good to have Victor Miranda back at the front of the field where we know we have seen him before. If anyone might remember Miranda battling away against Gael Valero. That was Goku versus Vegeta back in Season 1. Gaspar puts in the fastest lap of the race at 1:51.627, but he's got Resenje swarming all over his back bumper as they go down into Denton's. Now the left-hander here at Cascades. And they are literally nose to tail. You cannot separate them. Half a second as they run through Lakeside. up towards the left-hand sweeper here at Island Bend. It's going to be the bravest of the brave coming onto the brakes into Shell Oil's corner, but you cannot make a mistake at this particular point in the track. Either you'll go straight on and hit the barriers, or you could cause a problem by outbraking yourself and going into the back bumper of the opposition. But this is where it's going to be very, very crucial. Miranda making the rear end of that Mazda MX-5 as wide as humanly possible. Gaspar and Resenje are inseparable. This is what Global Mazda MX-5 Cup racing looks like when you have three at the peak of their powers. Gaspar was so close to the tyre barriers on the entrance into Hislops coming into Knickerbrook. Resenje was so close to the left-hand side. This is absolutely incredible. But look at the gap between Miranda and Gaspar, because Gaspar's having to fight with Resenje. The gap between first and second now expands to 6 tenths as they now head through into Drury's corner. Jackson Resenje wants to get through. He knows that he's got to pull the trigger very, very quickly to get past Gaspar and go after Miranda.
I think Gaspar and Resende here playing a bit of each other's enemy. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Kind of playing together, trying to shoot for Miranda. I think Gaspar pushing a little bit too much through the back half of the track, going down towards Hislops and Knickerbrook. I think he just gave a little bit too much. And then Resende, smelling the blood in the water, giving a bit too much through Druids and Lodge, and just managing to clip a little bit too much inside curb. And it's opened things up just a little bit. You can see kind of that accordion effect going for these drivers as they run through. Things are expanding just a little bit between Miranda, Gaspar, Resende. Gap now between the three cars is 3/4 of a second, 8/10 of a second just. And this is where we're going to continue to see things. Lap 8 of 10 here, 2 laps to go. Gaspar's going to kind of wind it back a little bit, relax, try to just keep Resende at bay just enough as he can as they go through Shell Oil corner. That Shell Oil livery, Ferrari-inspired MX-5. I love the livery of Kyle Gaspar. I'm going to get down for a second. And now, as they run here through the first of the chicanes, and those tire barriers do not move, and there they go, Gaspar and Resende, both a little bit wide there. That gap's going to open up between Gaspar and Resende. They're going to go through. And I see the wipers are on for Kyle Gaspar, which might just be a misclick of buttons there. Miranda being very, very cautious here on these final laps. He's trying to make sure he does not give anything up in the final 2 laps if he can help it. But you can see just how wildly the lines are between Miranda, Gaspar, and Resende. Resende pushing as hard as he can. Gaspar a little bit more than Resende is pushing him, trying to go through. And look at this gap now, under 1/10 of a second between these two. Little bit of a tap between the front and rear bumper. And the MX-5's going to hold on to that. Look at Resende. He's saying, give it to me. Give it to me. Give me the place. He's pushing him. Little bit of a bump draft there. It's not Sunday night NASCAR, but I will take it from the MX-5s. And now, up the inside, it's going to go Jackson Resende. On the outside is Gaspar, who holds on to it as they come around the corner. And as they come out of Lodge, down the main straight, it is going to be Resende holding on to P2 there. Gaspar is still right side by side, running down the main straight, down into Old Hall, inside Resende, outside Gaspar, who holds on to it. Gaspar runs it wide into the grass. It doesn't matter. They're still side by side now. Look at this. This is the action you get in AMX. Side by side. Resende is just biding his time. He's going to back out of it because he's on the outside for the left-hander of Cascades. But for a second, Resende had it. For a second. And now he's going to reset, and he's going to push him right back. Here we go, Alex. It's round 2 all over again.
Game on, folks. Victor Miranda's got a lead of 1.3 seconds back into Shell Oil's corner. We're now on to what is our penultimate lap. Resende is got that Brazilian fighting spirit. He is not giving up. Gaspar is not giving in. It's like the immovable force versus the immovable object. Was that a clip of the tyre barrier by Kyle Gaspar as they come out of Britain's up over through his hilltop once again, down the crest into Hislops. Resende backs off a little bit. He does not want to be too close to the back of Kyle Gaspar through a chicane. So now they go through Hislops into Knickerbrook. Clay Hill. So over the hill they go once again towards the water tower. And then after this, the white flag will be out. Victor Miranda's lead is now burgeoning on the fringes of 1.6 seconds. This battle for P2 has really kept us captivating. Oh, bump over the curbs. Bump over the curbs there, coming out of Druids by Jackson Resenje. Could that mean that second position is out of his grasp? I don't think it will be, because he is the latest of the late breakers in this championship. He's now gathering himself back together as they go across the line, out of Lodge Corner, through Dearly. The engine's absolutely screaming up the rev range, through into Old Hall once again. He takes a tighter line, white flag in the air, and what's more, Victor Miranda has lost half a second of that gap. Half a second of that gap was lost just in the last few corners. So Victor Miranda, is he going to hold on for the race lead? Jackson Desenge senses, as Brad rightly alluded, a little bit of blood in the water. It's going to be some countryman blood in the water, because now the gap between Desenge and Gaspar as they head through Island Bend. And we've got a battle for 7th position between Josh Perween and the student driver. I call BS on that one, Gaston Cool-Harvey. But that's going to be an interesting battle right towards the end. Leaders now making their way through into Britain's for what is going to be the final time. Jackson Desenge's got a run of momentum coming out of that chicane, and he's right with, he's bump drafting Caio Gaspar over through Hilltop. He's looking to the outside line. He's not going to try and be brave and put it round the outside there. No, he does not. He stays very closely behind. Oh, and he nearly gets a better run coming out of his lops into Knickerbrook. You could see the smiles on his face saying, this is absolutely brilliant, but I want to get past him. We've only got a handful of corners remaining through into what will be Druids. For the final time, it's going to be a run to the line for second position, because Victor Miranda now has back again in his pocket a 1.5 second lead. Down towards Lodge Corner, Resenge trying everything in the playbook. As you see, Josh Perween's rear bumper is very, very much indented. Round the outside through into Lodge Corner, but it's not going to be enough. He didn't get it, but it's going to be Victor Miranda that takes the checkered. And Jackson Resenge, he did everything. He tried everything. He even got past him, and he has a little bit of afters with the barriers on the left-hand side. But what a fight for second. What a fight for second position, and he gives. That was a friendly tag. That was all in jest. But that battle between Caio Gaspar and Jackson Desenge was epic. Marcelo Reales takes 4th. Laui Santi set to cross the line very shortly, which he does now. Takes P5. Nico Godoy very soon will take 6th position, but we concentrate back on the battle for 7th position. Gaston Cool-Harvey looking round the outside of Josh Perween on the run over Hilltop. Down into his slops they go. The 27 on the outside of the number 10. Is he going to keep it? There he is. He's going to try for it. He's going to go for it. Is he going to keep it? Oh, there's a little bit of a hip check between the two. And Gaston Cool-Harvey. Oh, that was very, very naughty, very, very cheeky. He's going to get 7th, but I think at the end of the day, if I'm not too sure how Josh Perween is going to feel about that one, but that was definitely more than a hip check. It was like one touch, and then there was another hip check just afterwards. But when they're racing so closely, you can understand. Diego Villarreal and Fabio Zampolini will take 9th and 10th respectively. Oh my goodness me. Nico Godoy takes 6th. That's just been confirmed, as Gaston Cool-Harvey will take 7th. And Josh Perween takes 8th. Victor Miranda back to winning ways here on AMX Global. But the most epic of battles between Caio Gaspar and Jackson Desenge was just a joy to behold here at Oulton Park. But Victor Miranda picks up the victory, and with it picks up another 10, picks up $10 US. Caio Gaspar takes home 2nd out of Jackson Desenge. Great battle between the two Brazilians, absolutely epic to watch. It nearly was a 3-way scrap for the lead, but however, 2nd and 3rd was an absolute titanic tussle in these Mazda MX-5s. Jackson Desenge in 3rd, Marcelo Reales 4th, Laui Santi, Nico Godoy, Gaston Cool-Harvey, Josh Perween, Diego Villarreal, Fabio Zampolini. That is your top 10. I'm sure there's some discussions going on, because I think not only are the drivers perspiring after that race, I am getting a bit hot under the collar. I mean, you and I both were completely animated, which people could not see, but it was absolutely entertaining to watch, wasn't it there, Brad?
Oh, I know the broadcast team can see me when I'm commentating, and I know they can see us even when we're not on stream. I'm going to have to charge them a fee for entertainment, because that was I was jumping at one point. I was up in my seat, yelling, throwing hands. I mean, that battle between Kohlhavi and Miranda, and even the battle between everyone.
They've even put it. They've even put it. You cheeky beggars, broadcast crew. We see you, Brad. Yeah, yeah. You see us both.
They see all.
Come on. Yeah. Be
all.
transparent,
Okay.
please, guys and girls. It's okay. But yeah, a great race. I mean, congratulations to all our drivers. Yeah, you see, in for a penny, in for a pound. Damn it. But yeah, I mean, that really wraps up AMX 0 on that particular occasion. We are going to have them back again for tomorrow night, but we have got race 29 of AMX 5 coming up. Don't forget, you can hit us up on social media. Yes, you know the drill. We keep on drilling it home. If you are watching on YouTube or Twitch, either hit the subscribe button on YouTube, hit the follow button on Twitch. What you guys and girls do for us by clicking those buttons means a hell of a lot to us here at AMX Global. Don't forget, hit us up on the relevant social medias. After this, we have got 4 more races to go to conclude Beta Season 2 of AMX Global. Coming up will be race 29 of AMX 5. And what's more, we will be going back to the home of British motorsport. We're going to one of my favourite circuits, Silverstone Grand Prix, and we're bringing back Marco's favourite category. It's front-wheel drive, it's TCR. Don't forget, a big thank you to Automatics and BenQ and Upbit for their continued support. Myself and Brad will be back in a little bit to bring you all the action on the conclusion of what has been an exciting race day so far. See you in a bit.
Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimal software won't distract you. Brake reminder and force brake help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force brake activates to rest your eyes. I care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Brake reminder and force brake help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force brake activates to rest your eyes. I care you. Safeguard your eyes.
So we come to our second race here on race day 42 of Beta Season 2 for AMX Global. It's Alex and Brad with you once again. First of all, we have to recap that awesome MX-5 race at Oulton Park, because that was an absolute doozy, wasn't it?
MX-5's Oulton Park, that is going to be one of the ones for the classics. I can't wait to see when the social media team get a hold of that one and they start posting clips from that. That's gonna be a good one to watch, and it's gonna be one that we talk about for a while. That was an impressive one, and I'm hoping that Silverstone will deliver the same sort of thing here.
Yep, it's race 29 of AMX-5. After this, we have race day 43 in just under 24 hours time. And then we'll head to the 25th of June, where race day 44, 2 races will conclude what has been an impressively and this circuit is another one which is a lot to me older first through. What you take? What prizes are going to be for AMX-5 this time around?
Yeah, coming up for AMX-5, of course, as we've talked about, prize pool changes all the way through. Entry fee is only $5 now, as opposed to we used to have AMX-0, AMX-5, and AMX-20. Now we've got AMX-5, and the prize pools have went up significantly from $161 to a $437 prize pool. Of course, this takes place at 8:40 p.m. Eastern Time, just right after AMX-0. AMX-0, think of it as kind of the appetizer, the taste tester, and then you get into the meat and potatoes with AMX-5. This is where some of the big bucks can come out, and where things can really mix up and get very, very exciting as we go through. Of course, we're back on reverse grid placements, which we're keeping, and as we saw from the action of MX-5s, it's going to stick around for a minute, and it will make things very exciting as long as all of our drivers can survive turn 1 and make their way through. And now that is where the fun gets. So push it all the way in qualifying, survive turn 1, and then push your way through the race, and you can find a smooth $50 in your pocket plus $5 for the fastest lap if you get that in the race. Very, very competitive. Of course, here at AMX, we listen to the players' feedback. We talked about this in the first race. We're going to bring it back up again. Anytime you want to pay out in increments of $100, regardless of where you won that $100 in your tiers, fill out a form on the Discord and get your $100. So if you have $121 in winnings and you want that $100 right now, go ahead and put in the request. And then, of course, we've changed it. So any unclaimed winnings, that $21, you're not going to lose it at Saturday night. It's going to roll over to next season and continue to roll through. So jump in and out of AMX as you want. AMXrace.com is the place to sign up and get in for the next race. Now, of course, AMX-5, it is mandatory to be in the Zoom for points. And that is going to be in the Discord. So if you haven't joined the Discord, it's social media. You know how to get a hold of a Discord. Just click on the link and join us. We'd love to have you. And of course, if you're racing in AMX-5, you have to be in the Zoom. Now, let's talk about point earned so far. Kyle Gaspar, a $1,650 winner. Absolutely amazing. 24% win race. Gael Valero, let's talk about him for a second. That 69% win race. That is a very, very nice win rate. 24 races of 35 attended. Very impressive from the P5 driver there. Of course, Josh Perwine, we got to see a very, very good battle between him and Gaston Kulhavi in the last round. And then Jackson Resende, we saw a great battle from him as well in the last race. Victor Miranda has won 48% of the races. And Alex, go ahead and talk us through and give us a little bit of a preview on what I think is your neck of the woods.
Just located 2.5 hours from my location, it is, of course, the home of British motorsport. We're at the Silverstone Grand Prix, which in 1950 hosted the first ever World Championship race of Formula One. It has been a stalwart, a titan of British motorsport. It has evolved over the years. Very, very flat, but it is a fast-flowing and very, very demanding circuit. It is a bit like a rattlesnake. Once you aggravate it, it bites back hard. You're going to possibly see that tonight here. But it's also seen GT3, TCR action, British touring cars, and a whole host of other categories race around its hallowed tarmac. The cars for tonight, it is of course Marco's favourite, it's front wheel drive, it's TCR. Now all of these cars will be inline 4 turbocharged engines producing anywhere between 360 to 380 brake horsepower. These cars were the brainchild of the man that runs WSC, Marcello Lotti, who originally was part of the team running the World Touring Car Championship. There is a balance of performance, there is equality, and there is also great door-to-door paint swapping action. Cars will be running anywhere between a 1 3/4 and 2 litre engine. We have marks on this platform here at iRacing represented by the Audi brand, the 4 Rings of Ingolstadt, Korea's favourite, the Hyundai in the form of the Veloster, the Elantra. You also do see on occasion the Honda Civic FK7 Type R. Those are the cars that are going to be here tonight. We're going to have a 15-minute qualifying session once again, but of this 3.66 mile circuit, it will be 8 laps. And there you see, through the wonderful headicam shot there, that is just one of the parts of the circuit. We'll be using the Wing Complex as the starting point. It used to be on the National Pit Straight, where the first corner used to be Copse Corner, where Formula 1 cars, and I witnessed this back in 2009, when Jenson Button and Rubens Barrichello were running with Braun GP, which now evolved into what we know as Mercedes AMG Petronas Motorsport with Sir Lewis Hamilton and George Russell, their current 2023 driver lineup. Practice has just come to an end, and it is the number 6 of Brazil's Victor Miranda that is leading the way on the timesheets with the best effort of a 2 minute 16.457. Caio Gaspar makes it a Brazilian 1-2 after the practice session, as once again we will have 10 TCR cars on this grid. So Miranda takes the top time in the practice session for race 29 of AMX-5 here tonight on race day 42. Caio Gaspar, Gaston Coulthard ran at the top 3, covered by about 0.3 of a second. Gaston Coulthard, Fabio Zampolini, Jackson Ascenje round out the top 5. Good to see that the Ken Block tribute livery has ended up on Caio Gaspar's car in the Hyundai Elantra NTCR. Marcelo Reales, Josh Perween, Laui Santi, Nico Godoy, Diego Villarreal ending at the top 10. Villarreal not setting lap time. Only 2 drivers have gone with the Audi RS3 LMS, Victor Miranda and Fabio Zampolini. So this particular car coming through, this is the number 3. That is Caio Gaspar. So he's making his way through Luffield and into Woodcote, which will take us on to the traditional National Pit Straight. This was the start-finish line. Here you can see the prize pool on your left-hand side. $25 for a win, $25 for pole position in qualifying in the fastest lap of the race. Nets you a cool $5 as we see the number 3 Hyundai Elantra NTCR head through into Copse Corner. You've got to basically commit to the corner, run the car wide. Now going into one of the fastest, if not the fastest complex of modern day motorsport. Through into the left-hander here at Maggots, now into the right. A little bit of a touch on the brakes. Through into Beckett's or the sweeping left here at Chapel Curve. 3rd gear, now accelerating. Up to 4th gear. Down the very lengthy hanger straight, which could see 3 wide at one point, but then you've got to really commit. You see the marker boards come up, 150 metres. On the brakes at 100 metres by Caio Gaspar. Turn it right into Stowe. And these laps with 2 1/4 minutes. Effective 2 minutes 15, 2 minutes 16, depending on the driver. Now we'll have less of an opportunity to get those. You've got to get that banker lap in, and then you've got to start improving. Now this circuit, as I said, is a bit of a rattlesnake. It can bite hard. Of course, the barriers are a bit too far behind, but in a TCR car, if you turn the car in and it goes horribly wrong, the back end can swap the front and throw you into the barriers. So now we see Caio Gaspar making his way into Village, right-hander at turn 3, now into the left-hander here at 4 at the loop for Aintree, and then down into the Wellington Straight, or heading into Brooklands. This is a particular point. If anyone might remember the significant 47G crash that Kimi Raikkonen had a few years back. It was 2014. I should know. I was there in the media centre reporting on what was going on as a member of the journalistic crews there. There is one of the Audis that is going to be more than likely the number 6. That is Victor Miranda in the. But yeah, still, they're only doing outlaps at the moment, Brad, so we could see a very, very tighter push on the run to pole position in this qualifying here at Silverstone.
Yeah, you said it, Alex, and I'm going to reiterate it. It's very important at Silverstone with a long lap like this. Get out, get a banker lap in, and then just keep running laps, keep improving. You don't have time to do the traditional F1 style at Silverstone, and that's outlap, push in, outlap, push in. You don't have time for that. Cal Gaspar, purple third sector. Of course, we're measured 5 sectors here in the TCRs and iRacing as we ride on board here with, I believe, Victor Miranda coming through. And you can see the smiles. This is a track that every driver knows. This is a track every driver loves. And these TCRs, depending on which one you're driving, you're going to have so much fun with. You're driving the Elantra. It's very compliant in suspension. It's got a long wheelbase. It's hard to rotate. It's very easy to get it through the corner once you get it into the corner. Everything else kind of rotates similar. If you've got the Veloster, it's got the quickest steering rack. You're going to have the easiest time turning. I personally own a Veloster in real life. I've owned 2 of them, and I've owned an Elantra. I used to work for Hyundai, or Hyundai, depending on how you want to pronounce it. So, I mean, those cars are very, very compliant and through. Audi, shortest gearing, has no clutch, fun fact. Also has a hydraulic handbrake. Stiff suspension, though. The Audi gets a little fun depending on, kind of your preference of driving. The Veloster, again, that quick steering rack, but it's also got an extremely long gear ratio through. We don't have any drivers in the Honda, so I won't touch on it, but it's kind of a middle, all the way around, a good beginner TCR, and depending on kind of how you feel, it will depend on which TCR you want to go through. Victor Miranda currently running up front, and Victor Miranda is in an Audi, which is very impressive. And look at that livery there. That is Nico Godoy, and what is that? I don't know, but I like it.
It's a bit of a Meta style look there from Cars, isn't it? It's got the Punisher logo on the hood, and what's more, Nico Godoy's beard has now evolved. He's had a bit of a short back and sides on the chin of his, because that beard is gone. He's got the tash now. Probably might help him with maybe maybe taking a couple of tenths off of his best lap time. But we have had a couple go in and put some bankers on the board as we've got just under 9 minutes to go. Victor Miranda, 2 minutes 16.995. Kyle Gaspar, 59 thousandths back. Larry Santi, a 2 minute 19.2. Yeah, I think that's probably some sort of quote from the Punisher, I would imagine, on the side of Nico Godoy's car. There is Kyle Gaspar running the Ken Block Tribute livery, Hoonigan livery on the Hyundai Elantra NTCR. Now, at the moment, I'm wondering where Gaston Coulthard is, because we could see an Elantra that might have Peppa Pig on the car and George the Dinosaur on the back bumper, like we've seen all the way through. Every time we've had a TCR race, Gaston Coulthard has been rather imaginative with his creativity. Let's put it that way. Here is Kyle Gaspar. He's about to cross the line, and that is an improvement at 2 minutes 16.461 by the number 3. Goes over half a second quicker. Oh no! Gaston Coulthard has decided to bring a different bit of colour to his car now. Victor Miranda's gone quickest in the opening sector as P3 at the moment, with a 2 minutes 16.996. Josh Perween goes up into 6th, gets dumped down to 7th because we saw that Jackson Asenje has put in his best effort in his Hyundai, a 2 minutes 16.982. And there is always somebody that runs in a stealth black livery. No surprise there. Diego Villarreal has gone with a matte black Knight Rider look. All he needs is a red scanner on the front bumper, and he's good as gold on that one. But he's not set a lap time yet. Neither is Nico Godoy. But at the moment, the top 5, rounded out by fabulous Fabio Zampolini, covered by just under 0.8 of a second. Ian Gaspar really seems to have the measure of this track. So we will see how he gets on. See the I ratings there, highest of which is in the hands of Victor Miranda. 4th position in the number 6. As we continue to ride on board with Diego Villarreal. He's just coming out of Woodcote, down the National Pit Straight, heading into Cops Corner. So the speeds will probably be around about 180, 190 kph in 5th gear, I would imagine, possibly. All having a central exhaust at the rear of the car. The exhaust, there's a lot of spec parts on these cars, as we see Jackson Asenge wrestle with the car coming out of Cops, running in the Texaco Racing livery that is used by Tony Kanaan in the Stock Car Pro Series. Runs with Full Time Sports in the Toyota Corolla stock car. Chevy and Toyota, 2 brands that have been competing in the Stock Car Pro Series since 2020. And Nico Godoy puts in a lap time. That was a 2-minute 20.910. Diego Villarreal has had all lap times invalidated so far. So the number 22 is trying to make the best of it. There's Marcelo Reales, who's gone with a body in white, which basically means that it looks like body's just been he just went, yeah, I'll just have it in plain old white. They sent it through the factory, and then this is how it came, without any livery and all that kind of stuff. He's just put in P6. Villarreal's just gone 8 on a 2-minute 18.714. So at the moment, Brad, he's just been dumped down to 9th, courtesy of Laui Santi. Coming up to the final third of this qualifying session, top 9 drivers covered by 2.2 seconds. And that, to a lot of people, might think, well, hang on, that's a bit of a mountain to climb here at Silverstone, because we know that qualifying is one thing. As we saw with Oulton Park last time out, the race is something completely different.
You took the words out of my mouth, Alex. You always do that somewhere or another, and you did it this time. Yeah, here's the thing. 2-second gap on a track like Silverstone for a track the length of Silverstone, it's not that much, guys. You get 1 corner better than you did the last lap, you're going to gain 2/10. So it's not that much in the grand scheme of things. Now, granted, you don't have a lot of time to put in a lot of laps around here, but the drivers are going to be able to pick it up easy, and that is not how you want to take Maggott and Beckett's there. That is Nico Godoy we're on board with there going into Chapel. He saved the back end there. That is going to be, if we see a driver lose it on their own, it's going to be through Maggott and Beckett, because the thing with these cars, they're front-wheel drive. The rear ends can get very light on every car, and if the car gets a little non-compliant when you're trying to push it through Maggott and Beckett, and anyone who's ran an F1 car is going to know exactly where this goes. Car gets a little swirly, a little non-compliant, whoop, your exit stage left, right into a barrier. And that is going to be, I think, the big challenge for these drivers, is finding that balance for them. As we watch Kyle Gaspar, who just continues to light up the timing tables. He's running his own thing. He has a love for Hyundai. I'm going to say it's the livery blessing him, because he has a good taste in livery. 216, 454, improving again, putting 3/10 on Fabio Zampolini. And it's really, there's going to be a big mix-up for the drivers, I think, once we invert these grids and you put Nico Godoy up at the front, Diego Villarreal, Laui Santi, Josh Perwine. That's going to be where we see a big mix-up, because then it becomes a case of not, are you the fastest on track? It's, are you the best at your racecraft to find a pass and get passes done in somewhat sketchy situations sometimes. Lucky for them, we're at Silverstone, which is a wide track, which will give plenty of racing room if the other person wants to give it to you.
True. I mean, another pinch point. I mean, if anyone might remember the incident between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton going through into Stowe Corner, well, that is another pinch point, because just like Maggott, Beckett's and Chapel, it's a fast part on the circuit. The thing is, it has an adverse camber to the left-hand side, a little bit of a crest going through into the right-hander. So if you are planning to send it up the inside of that corner, you have to make sure there is plenty of room. Now, we know that the TCR cars are a little bit not as wide as a Formula 1 car, but you can still be finding yourself between a rock and a hard place if you make that move and you literally, it gets thrown to the dogs, you make a complete pig's ear going into that corner and you're trying to make an overtake. It won't just mean that you'll end up with barriers, but the person to your outside will also end up exiting stage left. And it is quite a deceptive corner as well. This track might look flat to a lot of you people, but there's not as big an elevation change as Oulton Park. I mean, this is on an old airfield, an old RAF airfield, but there are bits and pieces. You can see on board here with Fabio Zampolini, there is a little bit of a slight uphill on here, going through into the right-hander. That's where I'm talking about. There's a little bit of adverse camber to the left-hand side, so you've really got to try and carry that momentum through. And if you don't do it right, you are going to have a big problem. Gaston Colharvey, however, has just gone fastest in sectors 2 and 3. Now, he is currently P4 at the moment. Well, he was P4. He's just gone P3. 2 minutes 16.651. As we are now into the last 35 seconds. So, from my reckoning, it is going to be a case of, yeah, there we go. Colharvey's called it a day. Because as soon as the session is timed out, we then have to go onto the reverse grid. But with the top 9 rounded out by Diego Villarreal, the times have improved over the course of the session here, Brad. Top 9 covered by just under 2 seconds.
Times have improved quite a bit as we come down to about 5 seconds left to go. And I think what we're going to see the biggest challenge for these drivers become is just not overdoing it across a lap. This is a long lap for these TCR cars, and while it may be one of those, like, you want to go flat out, you want to sit and push the whole time, you can't. You have to dial it back, pace yourself, and be willing to remember that this is a long race. It's only 8 laps, says me in the commentary booth. You tell the drivers it's only 8 laps of this track that's 2 minutes 16 and a half seconds on a full speed, full out Kyle Gaspar qualifying lap. That's a different story. So I think the big thing is, as we invert this grid and flip it, a little bit of patience is going to have to be exercised by everyone involved.
Yeah, we're waiting for the rest of the drivers to start on the grid. We've got Josh Perwin and Fabio Zampolini. So there is your grid. Godoy and Villarreal on the front row. Perwin and Santi. Reales and Asenji. Miranda, Colharvey, Zampolini bringing up the rear of the field. Caio Gaspar and the KTF BRB Esports number 3. Drivers now are steeled and ready. 8 laps at the home of British Motorsport in TCR is Revs Rise. Green flag waves and a lot of wheel spin just after the 3rd row as everyone starts to put the pedal to the metal. There are some hip checks happening. And now we've got a turnaround, and that is Resende off
Jackson Resende.
as they head into Jackson Resende, that was going through on the approach into Abbey, now through into Farm Curve. And now they're going to make their way through into... Oh, Nico Godoy's off the circuit. Now they go into the loop for the first time. Resende is about 14 seconds behind Zampolini. So, well, that looks to be coming through out of... That just goes to show how quickly things can change. Villarreal is leading, Perwin in second. Reales looking up the inside through into Brooklands. It's a quick turnaround to the right-hand side here into Luffield, or they start accelerating. Be very, very tight to the barrier on the right-hand side coming out of Woodcote. So they'll switch to the outside. Reales looking to have the run. Perwin shuts the door very, very quickly indeed, and the number 8. Over the national pit straight they go. Now heading into the fastest corner in British Motorsport. Copse corner, right-hander. And Reales looking again, and there was a little bit of a touch between him and Reales. Reales, I think, Perwin, what a save right there. There's a little bit of a touch as that is Miranda sending it through into Maggots and Beckett's, absolutely fully committed. on Coolharvey as they're coming through into Beckett's now. There's going to be a little bit of a bumper rub, front to rear, 4 on 6. That's the battle for P3. Villarreal has a 7/10 of a second advantage as they go down the hanger straight. 3 wide with Zampolini looking towards the outside. He's going to look to the inside now into Stowe corner. On Coolharvey, who's right on the back bumper of Miranda. There is Gaston in the bottom left-hand corner of your screens. Now into the club corner complex. Keeps ahead of the number 7 Audi. Viales has now got the lead. Miranda's got second. Villarreal has lost some time as they come out of the final corner. Down the Hamilton straight and across the line to complete lap 1. Oh, Villarreal nearly squeezes Zampolini into the wall on the main start-finish straights, but then up the inside of him. Gaspar started from the back end of the field. He's already halfway up. We're on to lap 2 out of 8.
One lap and a lot of things to unpack there. First off, looking at that move there from the 22 in all black of Diego Villarreal, I do not think that swerve there down the main straight was on purpose. I think he lost a bit of the rear end, was trying to save it, and just happened to give Zampolini a little bit of a scare there, because you can see he lost a couple of positions from that, actually. But look at our front 5 here. It's Marcelo Reales, who is currently leading through with Victor Miranda sitting in P2, Gaston Coolharvey, Fabio Zampolini, and of course Resende and Godoy down in P9 and P10 respectively, have lost a good bit of time. You talked about qualifying the Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton incident through cops. I thought we were going to get an AMX special version of it there on lap 1. Thankfully, nobody hit the barrier, but it was very, very close here. And as we ride on board, speaking of Cops Corner here, as they come through and we're looking, you can see they're running a bit wide, but in TCRs that is allowed. Nobody's going to be screaming track limits. We're not FIA stewards here. And that, I don't think there was contact there, Alex, but that looked very, very close between Marcelo Reales and Victor Miranda. Victor Miranda definitely showing a bit of pace here against Reales, trying to get a pass done as they come out onto the hanger straight here. And the TCR cars, much surprisingly, you wouldn't believe it, but they do take effect of slipstream. Slipstream does help Victor Miranda. Look at him down on the side. He is absolutely focusing through. He's trying to spot this corner, spot his apex, dive it in. A little bit of a switchback move. He was on the outside through to the inside. Beautiful. That is going to be what he needs. Beautiful move through. And now as they hard break down into club, and a little bit of sausage curb ramp there from Marcelo Reales. Not going to be what he wants to do through. These cars are not built strong enough to take that down onto the pit straight here, and I believe Gaston Coolharvey is going to be in a position to pass Reales as well. He's going to have to do a lot of defending here as we're on to lap 3, Alex.
Yeah, keep your eyes on Kaya Gaspar. He's currently running P4 at the moment, and he's not that far behind us. Oh, that was Coolharvey very late on the brakes. Going into Village, and now they go into the loop. There's a little bit of a push again from Coolharvey on Reales as they come out of Aintree, down the Wellington Straight on the run down to Brooklyn. So you can see the rear bumper of the Audi of Miranda has got a little bit of an indent on the bottom right corner. As they head into Brooklyn, there's a send here from Reales. He's going to look up the inside. He fires it through on Reales. I have not seen a move like that in a very, very long time indeed. As Gaspar looking up the inside of Coolharvey coming out of Luffield. So 2 moves by 2 respective Hyundais. One taking the lead, one taking third as we run out of Woodcote, go down the national pit straight. So Reales leading the way, keeping ahead of Miranda, who's going to be trying to get run through out of Cops Corner, and then through into Maggots, Beckett and Chapel. They are going to be literally side by side, and now Gaspar has really factored into this, so is Zampolini. Miranda has the inside on, and Reales retakes the lead coming out of Maggots. That's a brilliant move there by the number 6. Now into Beckett's. Reales tries to put the boot on the other foot. Gaspar now gets a real good run coming out of Chapel. Down the hanger straight. Miranda's got the race lead. Gaspar cuts across the back bumper of Reales to look towards the outside at Stowe. Coolharvey and Zampolini. It's nearly 4 wide going into Stowe corner. Who's going to be the bravest out of all of them? Oh, a little bit of a touch from Cole
Oh,
Harvey.
no!
And that sends
He's going to
Spa into the side of Miranda. Into the side of Miranda. And Reales retakes the lead. Absolutely ridiculous what just happened there. Gaspar got the slightest of touches. Reales battling away with Cole Harvey. Zampolini has got the ringside seat. Cole Harvey looking up the inside. This is through Club Corner. He's got the run. He's going to take the lead now as we go to complete lap number 3. And oh no! Drama there! Zampolini over the curbs through the exit of Club Corner. Goes straight into the side of Reales, who's dumped down to 5th. Oh my goodness me. That just goes to show how quickly the race can turn on its head. Now Josh Perwin is up to 5th place, but that was absolute drama over the course of a handful of corners. Especially with Kaya Gaspar getting so lucky. He was on the brakes. You can see the Hyundai Elantra NTCR locking up the brakes as he got a little tag from behind. But you know what? Everyone has made it through all that flotsam and jetsam. And with a very battered front end, it's Gaston Coulthard, the Argentinian, that leads the way. Kaya Gaspar, Victor Miranda ran at the top 3. Fabio Zampolini in 4. What's more, Kaya Gaspar started in 10th position. He's now into 2nd. He's now down Gaston Coulthard for the race lead as we come out of Woodcote once again. That was an absolutely ridiculous turn of events there. I don't know how everyone made it through, Brad.
Miranda and Reales were absolutely dueling and going through, and then Gaspar, Coulthard, Zampolini all got in the mix, and then it all started as they came through into Stowe, and there was the spin from Gaspar that knocked him into Miranda. I'm sorry I yelled, but that was insane. And then they came through Club, and it just got that much crazier between Coulthard and Reales, and somehow through all of this, we end up Coulthard, Gaspar, and now Victor Miranda right back into the mix. How did they survive this? How did none of these drivers DNF out at that moment? How do we only have Resende and Godoy that have ended up in the back, and it's still... What is happening? This has been insane. And now, watch this. Miranda, Gaspar, they're going to battle again as we come down through Club, and this is going to be a battle here for P2. Gaspar's dropped back into P3 again. Miranda's managed to work his way back up. That Audi just has something in it that likes Silverstone, and I cannot tell you what it is.
Oh, Reales in the pit lane, whether he's serving a penalty, not 100% sure on that one. Might have hit his incident point limit. He's going to be dumped all the way down to 8th place. But you can see that Victor Miranda, when we saw him just a few seconds ago in the bottom left-hand corner of our screens, he is as cool as a cucumber. He said, right, okay, brush this off, get back at it, get back into that race lead. And what has that done? He's just put in the fastest lap of the race, 2 minutes 16.690. He was significantly quicker, nearly 9 tenths or 7 tenths quicker than Coulthard. And Coulthard now will feel the heat. You can see the right-hand side. The Audi RS3 LMS, it's dented in the right-hand side, it's dented in the back bumper. But this, look at the steely concentration once again on Victor Miranda's face. That just goes to show how hard he is pushing. We're about halfway through lap 5 out of 8. It's Hyundai versus the might of Ingolstadt, with Audi, the 4 rings, going through into Kopp's corner. Gap is less than a quarter of a second. And now Miranda is going to have the run. He's got the slipstream. Gap is now under a tenth of a second into Maggots. This is going to be close, very, very close indeed. Now heading in towards Beckett's. Through into Chapel, the back end of Coulthard's Elantra was a little bit tail happy. That has allowed Miranda to close on in. Out of Chapel, down the hanger straight. Side draft now initiated between the Audi and the Hyundai. The Audi of Miranda gets the race lead. It's going to be Coulthard getting the inside line for Stowe Corner. Through they go. Miranda swaps back behind. And number 4, Hyundai Elantra NTCR. Now through into Vale. Into the left here at Club Corner. Pulls it to the outside. Can he get the crisscross on the number 4? Coulthard defends. Gaspar waiting in the wings. He's got the ringside seat. this trio are separated by half a second. Across the line we go. On to lap number 6. 3 to go, including this one. Miranda now pushing Kulharvi, putting the pressure on the number 4 as they go through Abbey into Farm Curve. Oh, mistake there from Kulharvi, or was there an assist? And that has allowed Miranda and Gaspar to get through out of Farm Curve, now into Abbey, and now into Village, and into the loop. Victor Miranda, with 3 to go, has now got the race lead back. This battle is not over by a long shot.
Yeah, Alex, one of the big things I think this should show, because I'm also watching as we watch this three-way battle in the front go through. First, I think that was nothing but a small mistake from Kulharvi bending under pressure that dropped him back to P3. I think one of the big things this is showing too, because watch Zamperlini. Zamperlini is a second and a half back. He was almost 3 seconds back at one point. These are long laps in these TCR cars. This is a long track for a TCR car. Everything can change in a lap. You can go from first to last to first if you're lucky. And as we watch this three-way battle go through, heading down into Copse Corner, now Miranda has the problem of how do you break the slipstream to the 2 Hyundais behind? How do you push through and keep an Elantra and a Veloster behind you? What is your strategy for that as we head down into Maggots, Beckett's, and Chapel? And then you've got the long hanger straight, which is just flat out, you just have to hold on to it. The Audi is very, very strong in the corners, and I've been watching as they go through Maggots and Beckett's and Chapel. It's very, very strong in the corners, but the Hyundai seems to have a bit more on the straight line that it can give, especially when you've got the slipstream involved, where you can really hold on to it. And it's really just, it's going to be a slinky, domino, yo-yo. There's plenty of phrases you could say, but it's going to be back and forth all the way until we cross the start-finish line at the end of lap 8. And that is going to be when we find out who won. Because I think right now, even if you lose this, if Miranda were to drop back to P3 right now, by the end of the next lap, he could be back up in first place if he drove it right. This is really where that patience, perseverance, and a little bit of blocking skill needs to come into play.
Yeah, I completely agree there, Brad. Sometimes you want to be in the right position. I think Kaya Gaspar, I'm honest, could be the better poised between him and Kulharvi. But the Audi does have a good amount of grunt down the straightaways as well, because when they come out of a corner, now they're going through into the loop, now they're going to come out of Aintree, a little bit of a tussle between Gaspar and Kulharvi, but you can see that the Elantra, from my perspective, and okay, yes, I'm a bit of an Audi fanboy. I am an eighth German, after all, but the thing is, the Elantra closes in, but the Audi's able to keep those cars at bay. Now, it's not just down to Miranda's driving skills, it's also the fact that the Audi RS3 LMS Gen 1, which we have currently on iRacing, no Gen 2 as of yet, it is a very, very strong all-rounder. I think a little bit more than the Honda Civic you've seen on previous AMX competitions. And already, now going into Copse Corner, Gaspar is 4/10 behind. This is going to start closing up, but Gaspar's now having to fight with Kulharvi. They need to stop squabbling, because the next time around we'll have the white flag, and then it's a case of who is going to be the bravest of this trio. Zamperlini's still 1.7 seconds behind Kulharvi at the moment. Make that 1.5 seconds. But it is that being in the right place at the right time. If Miranda can keep a gap of around half a second, I think he might have this in the bag, because coming down the hanger straight into Stowe Corner, that gap really hasn't gone down. It's only when you get to within 3.5 tenths of the car in front, that's when the slipstream comes into effect. We're going to go to a brief replay now, here. Should be sponsored by BenQ. Now, this is earlier on in the race, where we saw the bad... Oh, yeah, that's what happened, because, yeah, I think it was a bit of Kaya Gaspar's own making, because he cut across the front, got a little bit of a touch from Kulharvi, which then sent the number 3 into the number 6, and then Zamperlini was in the mix in all of this. Reales and then Kulharvi battled for the race lead through into Club Corner. Then they drifted a little bit wide. Kulharvi was looking up the inside of Reales. Then there's a bit of a hip check. Then onto the sausage curves for Kulharvi. batters into the right rear of Reales, which then has put him all the way down into 8th position. And Code Brown imminently there for Marcelo Reales, because his car was going backwards and could have hit the wall on the other side.
What a save for Reales there as we go through. Jump back on to the live action here, Alex. That replay, it tells a lot of the story, though. Think about that. Gaspar at one point was spinning, sliding on the grass, slamming with Miranda, and now we're on lap 8. White flag here as they come through left field down into Woodcote. And this appropriate that we're on a RAF air base and that all of these guys are carrying battle scars. So we run down to the cops for the final time here, Alex. This is going to be where the Hyundais have to figure it out. They've got to figure out how to get this pass done on this Audi. And frankly, it's going to have to be a sin. They're going to have to do something real gutsy to try to make it work, because as I see it right now, Miranda has just enough to hold on if he can hold on through the final few corners.
Yeah, that gap now has expanded between first and second to coming up to 6/10. Kulharvi now is trying to pull alongside Gaspar. They're heading down the Hanger Straight into Stowe Corner for what's going to be the final time. Gaspar will have the inside line on Zampolini. Zampolini, is he going to keep it to the outside? He's going to try. He's going to be halfway alongside. There's a little bit of a touch, a little bit of a paint swap. Left rear to right front. But Gaspar remains ahead as they make their way through into Club Corner. What is going to be the final time, and it is going to be Victor Miranda who's going to win, and it's now a comfortable one, because out of Club Corner it's going to be the run to the checkered, and it is Victor Miranda that picks up the victory in the number 6 Audi. So Audi dominates at Silverstone. Gaspar and Kulharvi ran out the top 3. Zampolini bringing the second of the 2 Audis home in 4th position. Josh Perween in 5th, Diego Villarreal in 6th. Was doing pretty well, was the number 22 from Uruguay. Just waiting for the last few drivers to come across the line. Marcelo Reales takes 7th. Aui Santi will be... Jackson Desenje could have been something very different for the number 1 from Brazil, Tony Kanaan Esports. And he puts in the fastest lap of the race, so 2 minutes 16.689, and last but by certainly no means least, there is the number 9 of Nico Godoy. He's just making his way out of Beckett's through into Chapel. It's the Hyundai Elantra NTCR wars its way down the Hanger Straight into the final 3 corners of this complex here at this 3.66 mile circuit, established back in the late 1940s, just after the Second World War. It's hosted British Grand Prix for most of its running so far, actually owned by the BRDC, the British Racing Drivers Club. As Godoy bumps over the sausage curbs through into Club Corner, and the number 9 from Argentina come out of the final corner, take the checkered, and that is it. Race is done and dusted, and that concludes our racing action here on race day number 42. That was race 29 of AMX-5. There's your winner, Victor Miranda, again taking a brilliant race win. The Texaco Racing by TK driver in the number 6, ahead of Caio Gaspar, so a Brazilian 1-2, but it was Audi that picked up the victory ahead of Hyundai. Let's not forget that. Gaston Kulharvi in 3rd, Fabio Zampolini in 4th, Josh Perween making it through to finish in 5th ahead of Marcelo Reales, Laui Santi, Jackson Desenje, who picked up the fastest lap of the race, Diego Villarreal, and Nico Godoy rounding out 10 strong. Well, what can you say about that race, Brad? We had incidents, we had accidents, we had great close quarter racing, and we had a bit of a dogfight to boot.
That was classic British racing at Silverstone. There's a good way to sum up this good race today. The MX-5s at Oulton Park, and then running it out here. I think a good way to round it out is just saying classic British motorsports, and a good summation of what racing should be.
Yeah, well, that is really it for race day 42. Race day 43 takes place in just under 24 hours time. So folks, if you are an iRacer, you want to get involved, head to amxrace.com. We've got the Ray Formula Ford 1600 and we're going to be heading back to Oulton Park. So an Oulton Park double bill for AMX Zero. But then we have one of the stalwart classes around one of the most infamous and notorious and iconic circuits. It's GT3 at Spa-Francorchamps. Because folks, if you love your 24-hour endurance racing, what's on next week? It's the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa-Francorchamps, the 75th running. And I'm actually going to release something. I'm actually going to be there part of the week itself, from Tuesday to Thursday. I'm working with a company that are going to be on site. We're going to be working with one of the stalwart teams. That's going to be coming up very, very soon. Really excited to have a new bit of work to deal with. And what's more, folks, it's sim racing related. It's all about simulators. It's all about the customer experience. Brad, I mean, buddy, you've done a really, really good job here in Season 2. A big thank you to you for being part of the commentary crew this year, mate, for this season. It's been absolutely brilliant. And what a way for you to enjoy your last broadcast with us here on Beta Season 2, buddy, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, Alex, it's sad to say that this is my last commentary for AMX Season 2. I will be back next season. Mark that down. I will be back next season. And as always, Alex, started out, I remember when I started commentary, it was me and you. We've expanded, of course, different broadcast teams. Shout out to everybody behind the scenes with AMX who gives me the opportunity to do this. It's been absolutely amazing. And I can't wait for next season. I'm going to try to drive and race. Who knows where you'll see me? I'll be with AMX somewhere. You might see me both ways. Who knows?
There you go. You heard it from the man himself. A big thank you to you all for watching. A big thank you to Automatics and BenQ, and of course Upbit for their continued support here of AMX Global. Don't forget, hit us up on social media. You know the drill, folks. We keep on drilling it into you every single broadcast. So you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, Discord. You can even go to amxrace.com, find the Discord link there. If you are an iRacer, you've got an iRating, or you just want to have a little bit of fun and maybe get some dollars in your back pocket, you've still got 4 more races to go. Head to amxrace.com, our official website. Again, follow us on Twitch, subscribe to us on YouTube. We're also on TikTok as well. So don't forget, race day 43. It's Formula Ford 1600 at Oulton Park, followed by GT3 at Spa-Francorchamps in just under 24 hours time. A big thank you to our broadcast team over in Korea. On behalf of Brad and myself, Alex, thank you so much for watching. Good night. See you very soon.